Do you ever find that when you get to tell someone like your problems, you feel like a lot of relief? Not like your problems per se, but like what's really wrong with you, like all of your negativity. I feel like, like, well, let me take you behind the screen, and then I just bash myself a very long time to the extent that people actually wind up telling me like, dude, what's your issue? You have this like weird perception of yourself, which we all have a weird perception of ourselves because that's why we perceive ourselves the way we do, right? The amazing thing is, and this actually lasted for me for an entire week, was that it started on literally last Shabbat, and then it was reinforced a couple different times by a couple different speeches. I felt like I really wasn't doing enough, and I wasn't growing enough, and I like all that negative stuff that I'm always like getting up and telling people like don't feel that. I was feeling that all the time, and it was amazing because I became so cognizant of how aggressive it made me and how frustrated it made me and how jumpy it made me, right? And I started trying to really address this situation, which is that, how do you deal with this pressure that comes from within or from without of not feeling good enough? And which, of course, ironically, that's what you pick up from other people. The people that I was listening to talking, it might not have been what they were saying. It was what I was hearing, right? They might have been saying something completely different, but what I was perceiving was this negative view that I had somehow like superimposed on myself. Think about that for a little bit. The crazy thing is, this week's Torah portion tells us this unbelievable idea, right? That God counted the Jewish people, and Rashi says famously, because he loved them. So the idea is that when you are trying to figure out what to look at and what to count and what to take accountability for, it's your good points, not your bad points, right? It's so easy. And again, I did this, just to plug it. There's the Lift Your Legacy podcast, which is coming out. We had a couple of sneak peeks. It's fantastic, and I am so excited about it. But a lot of times when I'm talking to people that are influencing others, I like to turn the table on them and be like, okay, so like, what are your goals? Like, what are you freaked out about? And a lot of times they don't know what to do. They're like, I can't, what? Like, I can't talk about that. So why is that? Because if we ask people, like, what do you really want, right? Or what are you really good at? You always have to apologize because you're like talking about yourself too much. It feels awkward to say like what you're really good at. But when it's like, what are you bad at? So it's super easy to figure that kind of stuff out. Oh, I procrastinate, and I'm negative, and I'm short, or I'm fat, or I'm skinny, or I'm this, I'm that. And the amazing concept that comes out of the Torah portion this week is count the good stuff, right? Count all of the things that are working for you, and what that does for you is it is immediately empowering, right? Because what really holds us back is all of the stuff that we're focusing on that makes us not be able to do it. I have a morning practice where I try to think through ways I react negatively to stuff, and I try to reprogram that in my brain. So one of the things that I'm always afraid of is like pitching a message or closing a deal or asking for money for a project that I think is very important. What am I thinking? They're not going to like me. They're going to say no. They're going to say you're just, manipulating this whole relationship. And the reality is that's all in my head. But what that's causing is that I'm not taking action. And as soon as you start to say, this is a good project, I'm worthwhile, I can really help these people, or I can really get this thing off the ground, it's really going to change lives. So what that does is immediately empowers you, and you get that, and you can go at it. I'm not going to brag, because I'm going to brag. I'm going to brag. Why not? You don't have to watch it. I've conditioned myself now. I was waking up 4:30 last week. I was pretty much up at 4 every morning. And it's not because I feel like I have to hustle and do all that kind of stuff. What I'm finding, it's also because I have kids and that's the only time I get anything done. But what I'm finding is I'm really fired up when I'm writing, when I'm doing the podcast, when I'm getting all this stuff ready for the podcast. It's this tremendous feeling that I finally started realizing I am kind of good at this stuff. And that's that concept of the Torah portion. One last thought is this amazing concept I heard that you're supposed to learn from other people, from mentors, the how, not the why. How, not the why. Well, a lot of times we listen to, how, not the what they're thinking. Right? And that was kind of my issue when I was listening to different rabbis talk about it. I was like listening to what they're thinking. But I wasn't paying attention to how they think. And what the how they think is, they can think creatively, they take responsibility for their thoughts, and a lot of times they're not really easily influenced by other people. So that's a concept that you can right away look and you say, wow, how do successful people think? The answer is, well, they do all these things. They are analytical. They aren't pushed around. So I should be paying more attention to how successful people think than what they're saying, because what they're saying could be it's right, could be it's wrong. I have to filter it through my own system of belief systems. So big point today. Big point. Count the things you're really good at. Make it a daily practice. Count the things you're thankful for. Count the things you're good at. Shabbat shalom.